This, this session is now called to order. May we request MP Sheikh Abdul Wahab Pak to read us in the invocation, and please remain standing for the singing of the Philippine National Anthem and the Bangsamoro hymn.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا إننا سمعنا مناديا ينادي للإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم فآمنا. ربنا فاغفر لنا فإنك أنت الغفور الرحيم وارحمنا فإنك خير الراحمين. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا في هذا المقام إلا غفرته، ولا مريضا إلا شفيته، ولا هما ولا غما إلا قضيته، ولا حاجة من حوائجنا في هذه الحياة إلا عنتنا على قضاء يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا نسألك من كل خير ما سألك منه نبيك وحبيبك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، ونستعيذ بك من كل شر ما استعاذك منه نبيك وحبيبك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم إنا نسألك أن تعزنا وتنصر المسلمين في كل مكان، وأن تعلي بفضلك وكرمك إخواننا المجاهدين في فلسطين. اللهم اكتب لهم التوفيق والنصر والفتوحات في كل معركة دخلوها يا رب العالمين. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang mag-ibig ay sa sirakanan, kayang ng aso, sa ito'y buhay, sa lupang pinira, tuyang ka ng mag-ibig, sa aman mag-ibig, sa kapasisinig, sa kapasisinig, sa langit mo, ay sila langit araw, sa kagayang minamahal, sa pistahan minamahal, ang pistahan matawag mo'y tagumpay na nagkikinig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magtitigil, luman ang araw ng walhaging pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo.
Simula noon hanggang ngayon, isa ang naging layong magkaisaan magbuklod, karitingan ay marugtong. Tumayo tayo mula sa hamon ng nakaraan, niyapos ang panganib na umalang. Pinangako sa puso at paniniwala, ang ginhawa para sa kabataan. Bangsamoro ay tagumpay, bunga ng pawis, sugo at buhay. Kapayapaan, katarungan, ay ating nang nakamtan. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, pagpalain Bangsamoro. Bangsamoro, Bangsamoro. Simula noon hanggang ngayon, isa ang naging layong magkaisaan magbuklod, karitingan ay marugtong. Tumayo tayo mula sa hamon ng nakaraan, niyapos
Please proceed with the calling of the roll.
Yes. Roll call. Honorable members of the Bangsamoro Transition Authority Parliament. Abbas Ahmad, Abbas Harun, Abbas Basid, Abu Mujib, Alamia Laisa, Alauden Mosber, Ali Ibrahim, Ali Lanang Jr., Ali Edi, Amuluto Suharto, Aminuddin Abdulaziz, Ampatuan Baintan, Anayatin Susana, Antaw Muhammad Kelly, Arnado Merian, Asnawi Dan, Babaw Ali Muntaha, Balindong Pangalian, Basman Anna Tarhata, Kandaw Bay Maleha, Diranggalan Hashimi, Dumama Alba Shah Ilaiha, Ibrahim Ahud, Ismail Soharto, Estino Matarul, Gayak Abdullah, Gera Edward, Haji Abdullah Khalid, Hasim Abdullah, Hasan Hatimil, Iqbal Muhagar, Ismail Rasul, Jajuri Raisa, Jakilan Muslimin, Chikiri Al-Bakil, Kahalan Den Martin, Karon Faisal, Lim John Anthony, Loong Benjamin, Loong Don Mustafa, Lorena Jose, Makakuwa Jamel, Makapaar Abdullah, Makasalong Marjani, Makatanong Amrosi, Maglangit Tarhata, Malik Hamid, Pantawil Baileng, Mastura Eshak, Matalam Japar Apollo Mikael, Mawalil Amil Bahar, Mendoza Proilin, Mitimbang Michael, Mitimbang Tawakal, Miswari Abdul Karim, Miswari Nur Reda, Mitmog Rasol Jr., Munoz Hussein, Oranon Suaib, Pakasam Obaida, Pak Abdul Wahab, Pangandaman Nabila Margarita, Parcasio Randolph, Piang Ramon Sr., Ramos Jamila, Salindab Said, Salik Ali, Sangki Ali, Sema Omar Yasser, Sema Romeo, Sheikh Said, Silongan Aida, Sinolinding Kadil Jr., Sulaiman Ali, Tago Paisalin, Tan Nabil, Usman Adspar, Utto Basir, Uy Oyod Siti Pahani, Yakub Muhammad.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah wa bihi nasta'in. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Mr. Speaker, with 44 members of the Parliament responded to the call, we therefore certify the presence of quorum in today's session. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order. Yes.
Uh,
What is your point of order, gentleman from Sultan
Ye-
Kudarat?
Yes, I am not a member of the Committee on Rules, so it is only in the plenary that I can exercise my privilege as a member of the BTA even before we go into official business. This concerns us also. I need to elaborate for you. Mr. Speaker, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Under the principle of advice and consent, before we approve the agenda for today, I would like to register my objection to its approval and move to strike or remove certain items or parts from the agenda. I am doing this as part of my duty to inform the BTA of the possible repercussions with regard to the following items in the agenda, and I am referring to items 3, 4, and 5, namely BTA Parliament Bill number 351, and an act amending Section 5 of the Bangsamoro Act number 53, otherwise known as an act creating the municipality of Duling. Number 4, BTA Parliament Bill 332, an act amending Section 5 of the Bangsamoro Act 54, otherwise known as an act creating the municipality of Datu Sinsuat, Balabaran. Number 5, BTA Parliament Bill 333, an act amending Section 5 of Bangsamoro Act number 55, otherwise known as an act creating the municipality of Sheikh Abbas Hamta. These are the following reasons for my objection. First of all, I would like to manifest that, to my knowledge, this august body and its members were never informed or furnished a copy of the decision of the Supreme Court regarding the said bills, wherein the Supreme Court partially granted the petitions brought before it by the municipalities of Sultan Kudarat and Datuudin Sinsuat, and by its local officials and resident voters. Nor was any information provided the BTA and its members that the decision had become final as to the BTA as a relevant party impleaded in the case. However, please take note that the said decision is now available to access in the Supreme Court website. Secondly, I would like to manifest that there is a final injunction on holding a plebiscite with regard to the current laws. But the other issues that were raised in the petition are still pending in the Supreme Court, such as the lack of metes and bounds with technical description of the territory of the new municipalities on the face of the law, since the petition was only partially granted. These issues remain unresolved and pending before the Supreme Court. I have been informed that parties to the case are filing partial motions for reconsideration, so the injunction, in effect, acts as a form of temporary restraining order until the Supreme Court settles the case with finality. But more concerning and disturbing issue with regard to these laws passed by the BTA is the question of their authenticity and validity. And here I would like to quote the Supreme Court decision, and I read, no? This is the Supreme Court decision for BAA numbers 53, 54, and 55 on page 14. On July 15, 2024, petitioners in GR number 271-972 filed a manifestation and motion with lead with the very urgent motion for issuance of temporary restraining order, preliminary injunction status quo ante order. They asserted that Chief Minister Ibrahim's signature in BAA in BAA 53 is a fraud and a forgery. Mayor Masturi received a letter from a concerned citizen of Sultan Kudarat which declared that Chief Minister Ibrahim was on official leave to travel to a foreign country on December 11, 2023 and arrived in the Philippines on January 13, 2024. It was thus concluded that he could not have officially and legally signed the bills on December 26, 2023 because he was still outside the country at that time. The letter was accompanied by the turnover of records from the National Bureau of Investigation, BARM, National Bureau of Investigation Complaint Sheet, Joint Affidavit of Complainant, and Chief Minister Ibrahim's list of travel records issued by the Bureau of Immigration. The Supreme Court declined to rule on the allegation of forgery of Chief Minister's signature, Chief Minister Ibrahim's signature, as it is a factual issue that should be addressed in the proper forum, such as a criminal case. This particular portion of the decision is a red flag that the BTA should exercise caution regarding these proposed bills, amending BAA numbers 53, 54, and 55. Lastly, the very partisan agenda of these bills on gerrymandering the municipalities of Sultan Kudarat and Datuudin Sinsuat is quite obvious, since these bills are prioritized over the budget bill, even though September is supposed to be the submission of the budget bill. It seems that these bills on SK and DOS are even taking precedence over the remaining priority codes, the Indigenous People Code, the Revenue Code. In fact, the Supreme Court, in the recent Sulu decision, noted the monitoring of a journalist that 10 months before the end of the transition period, there is still no IP code. Sana po ipagpaliban natin muna ang mga panukalang ganito na lantarang for election purposes at unahin natin yung ating priority codes based or base sa mandato ng BTA, pati na yung nakaschedule this September na filing of the budget bill. With this move to strike items from the agenda, the predicate is laid for any future actions that may be brought to the Supreme Court, such as the possibility of contempt of court or a report to the President and Congress or any other legal forum with regard to the issues about these laws and their authenticity, including the procedure in passing these laws and their effectivity. After all, in the recent decision in the case against the Bangsamoro Organic Law by the province of Sulu, the Supreme Court stated, thus BARM, through an act of Congress, is empowered to pursue genuine, meaningful self-governance, which the President, Congress, and even the judiciary can keep in check. Before we act on my motion, I am willing to discuss these matters more privately if we suspend proceedings for the meantime. Itong aking panukala ngayon ay para alam nating lahat ano yung posibleng mangyari sa action at reaction sa mga ganap dito sa BTA. Kasi lahat tayo in one way or another ay involved. Alam nyo naman po, pagdating sa BTA at kayong lahat as my colleagues, I will always extend my hand in good faith and in goodwill and continue to engage in a collaborative manner para sa kapakanan ng BARM at ng Bangsamoro. Para sa akin, malaking lesson learned yung nangyari sa Sulu sa Supreme Court decision on the law of unintended consequences. Tingnan nyo kahit mga taga-Sulu na surprise sa resulta as was expressed by Deputy Speaker Nabil Tan doon sa interview sa kanya sa isang local radio station. We were all shocked na ganun na lang ang nangyari. Sa paggising natin, wala na pala ang Sulu sa BARM. Sana maging gabay yun sa ating mga galawin at gawain dito sa BTA. Mr. Speaker, I am submitting a copy of this manifestation and motion to the Secretariat for accurate documentation in the journal, and I ask that it be formally received by the Secretariat with my copy signed received by the Secretariat. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Speaker. Humihingi po ako ng patawad at medyo mahaba ang explanation ko, pero sa tingin ko mahalaga na maintindihan po ng mabuti ang aking mga kadahilanan. I await the response, Mr. Speaker.
The Secretariat, you are directed to receive a copy of the manifestation, the written manifestation of the gentleman from Sultan Kudarat. And we will take his statement as an objection to the order of business. Before we take any action, we will suspend the session so that we will allow the floor leader and the gentleman from Sulu to from Sultan Kudarat to discuss the matter.
Thank you,
Session
Mr.
suspended
Speaker.
for 1 minute. Session resumes. After a brief recess and a discussion between the gentleman from Sultan Kudarat and the floor leader, may we now ask the pleasure of the gentleman from the municipality of Sultan Kudarat.
Hello. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Since I already made a motion to strike, and the response, according to our discussion, was they were unwilling to strike it from the agenda. So my only option is to call for a vote, and I call for a nominal vote. So I would like to hear the response from the majority, from the floor leader.
What is the pleasure of the floor?
Mr. Speaker, first of all, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My courtesies to the Speaker, Attorney Ali Pangalian Balingdong, the other deputy speakers, the floor leader and other deputy floor leaders, and to our colleagues, and most especially to the people of Sulu, Mr. Speaker. Regarding this matter, Mr. Speaker, I confirm that we do not agree to strike out the item number 3, 4, and 5. And if that means that we will be voting on the matter, we agree to that, Mr. Speaker. But we think that it need not be through a nominal voting, considering this is just a procedural matter of striking out certain items in the order of business. Mr. Speaker, if any member of the Parliament wants to make a manifestation, we can always accommodate that, Mr. Speaker.
I yield, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, it is also a position of the floor of the chair that we will not allow a nominal voting on this matter, considering that it might preempt the legislation of this subject matter under consideration right now. So we will proceed with viva voce voting, and the proposition is whether or not we strike out items 3, 4, and 5. And the first question, the first proposition would be who are in favor of striking out from the order of business items 3, 4, and 5. And those who are in favor will be raising their hands. Those who are against striking out the items 3, 4, and 5, they will be voting no. Before we proceed, may I ask the Secretary General as to the existence of quorum right now? Do we continue to have quorum at this moment?
Mr. Speaker, with our latest double checking of the presence of the members of the Parliament, we are still in quorum, Mr. Speaker.
Will you certify to that?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
If I may ask, how many members of the Parliament are in the plenary right now?
With our latest counting, it is 45.
45. So we will proceed with the viva voce voting. The proposition is whether or not we strike out items 3, 4, and 5. Those who are in favor of striking out items 3, 4, and 5 in the order of business, please raise your hands. Secretariat, please count. Are we down counting? Secretariat, okay na? those who are against striking out items 3, 4, and 5 in the order of business, please raise your hands. May I ask the gentleman from Northern Kabuntalan not to interrupt the voting? May we know the results from the secretariat?
Mr. Speaker, for those in favor of striking out, we have 8 votes. For those who do not, 10 votes.
35. May nag-abstain. May nag-abstain. 1 minute suspension. With 8 yes votes, 27 no votes, the no votes have it. Therefore, items 3, 4, and 5 of the order of business are not strike out, and they continue to be included in the order of business. I can.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, may we ask for the recognition of MP Ampatuan?
The lady from Maguindanao is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Floor Leader. Pagpaumanhin niyo po kung hindi ako bumoto ng no at ang aking pong explanation ay hindi man ako abogado, Mr. Speaker, pero ang alam ko kasi wala pa tayong natatanggap na official na dokumento mula sa Supreme Court tungkol sa kanilang decision, and therefore whatever actions that we are going to do are still assumptions. So kaya po ako hindi bumoto ng isama sa order of business. Maraming salamat po.
Mr. Speaker, may we also recognize MP Lorena?
The gentleman from Sulu, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First, let me state that any law stricken for unconstitutionality can be repealed. It is correct. But what I have as of the moment in my possession is just a temporary restraining order. It has not even ripened to a permanent writ. That having said that, I don't know the facts on how the Supreme Court will resolve the substantive portion of the petition. And neither do I have the facts of the concluding facts. As already intimated, I have not received a copy from the Supreme Court. So while it may be partially taken out from some sources, but it is not official. Having said that, and there is also expediency to tackle other bills, more particularly the IDP needing also appropriate time. So my view, while amendments is a recourse to correct any unconstitutionality of the law, to my mind, it is still premature because substantively, the issues have not been appropriately tackled by the Supreme Court because the issuance was just for a temporary restraining order. Permanent, but I have not received any of that, as I said. Secondly, my view is even if we tackle this, I'm in my reading of the COBELEC's rules, any plebiscite could not be conducted within an election period. And therefore, the necessity of rushing is to me covered by that belief. So I am sorry, but I have to say there are more priorities that could be done. And to add it all, I will be having my personal and collective privilege on the decision of the Supreme Court very soon. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, the same motion in relation to MP Ambalodto.
The gentleman from Northern Cotabato City, Northern Kabuntalan is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I join the proponents in looking that the best way to address the question that was resolved by the Supreme Court was through a amendatory law, amending Section 5 of the 3 laws that we have already enacted. However, Mr. Speaker, I'm simply worried with the manifestations that we are rushing with these laws as if we are railroading the passage of these laws. Yun lang po yung aking agam-agam. As manifested by MP Mastura, there are other more pressing legislations that would have to be have been shepherded by this august body. Second, as our legal luminary himself has mentioned, he even used the word rush. And for this purpose, Mr. Speaker, we would have thought na baka pwedeng pag-usapan pa muna among the parties, even here in the Parliament, yung tungkol po dito, so that this agam-agam would have been clarified and resolved, and so that we can move forward with all of us looking at the very correcting the matter that has been pointed out by the Supreme Court together, and not without any intimation that we are railroading nor rushing with this legislation. Yun lang po, Mr. Speaker. Maraming salamat po.
Noted. Floor Leader, are there any other manifestations?
I believe none. Mr. Speaker, MP Rasul wants to be recognized.
Gentleman from Cotabato City is recognized.
Hello, to our speaker at sa mga kasama dito sa ating parliament, magandang hapon po. Yung boto ko kanina na pag-yes ay gusto ko lang i-explain, no, na ako ay naniniwala na yung mga statement na sinabi yung manifestation ng ating kasama ni MP Mastura ay dapat mapag-aralan at ma-study deeper. And second, sa tingin ko na ang ating parliament mas maraming dapat na i-priority kaysa doon sa pag-ano na mga munisipyo natin, no? Yung ating IP code, tax code, ano na bang status ng SDF natin, no? Ano na bang status ng Marawi, tulong natin sa Marawi. Yan yung mga dapat na sa tingin ko ay ma-priority na mapag-usapan dito. Dahil ako naniniwala na ang parliament na ito, hindi natin priority yung pag-divide ng mga munisipyo. Yun lang po.
Mr. Speaker, there are no other member of the parliament who wants to be recognized to make any manifestation. I now move, Mr. Speaker, to proceed with the order of business. So, Mr. Speaker, we're now on item number 6, which is the reading and approval of the journal of the previous session, specifically journal number 8, covering the June 24 to 27 sessions. I move that we dispense with the reading of this journal, Mr. Speaker.
There is a motion from the floor to dispense with the reading of the journal of the previous session. Any second? It's been seconded. The motion is approved.
That's for the
Reading.
to dispense with the reading. I move, Mr. Speaker, that we approve the journal number 8.
There is another motion from the floor to approve the journal number 8 of June 24 to June 27, 2024. It has been seconded. The motion is approved. The journal number 8 is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move to proceed with item number 7, which is on recognitions, commendations, memorials, and messages and communications. Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize MP Baileng Mantawil.
The lady from Cotabato City is recognized. You may proceed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, esteemed colleagues, distinguished guests, and fellow citizens of the Bangsamoro, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, I feel melancholic as I stand before you to address a matter of profound significance, the recent decision of the Supreme Court regarding the Bangsamoro Organic Law and its implication for our region and the nation as a whole. We laud the decision of the highest court of the land, declaring and upholding the validity and constitutionality of RA 11054, known as the Organic Law of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. Indeed, the half a century of the struggle for RSD of the Bangsamoro has paid off. The Bangsamoro Organic Law was a landmark piece of legislation, a culmination of decades of struggle for self-determination by the Bangsamoro people. It was envisioned as a means to address the historical injustices, foster peace, and promote development in a region that has long been plagued by conflict and marginalization. The establishment of BARM was a beacon of hope, a promise of autonomy, and a pathway to more inclusive governance structure. However, this ruling has been a shock to many of us, as it addressed petitions that were filed 5 or 6 years ago during a time when the struggle of our people for self-determination was at a critical juncture. Even the petitioners themselves, who long awaited for this decision, may be grappling with its far-reaching consequences. We acknowledge the democratic process and the rule of law that we as a people have always upheld with dignity and respect. The Supreme Court's ruling to exclude Sulu from BARM raises critical questions and concerns that we must confront as a nation. It is essential to understand the implication of this decision, not only for the people of Sulu, but for the broader aspirations of the Bangsamoro people. Sulu has been a significant part of the narrative of the Bangsamoro movement. The people of Sulu have long sought recognition of their rights, culture, and identity. Excluding Sulu from BARM may be perceived as a continuation of historical injustices, potentially alienating a significant portion of the Bangsamoro population and undermining the very spirit of the peace process. Sulu and its people have indeed shown immense courage and resilience in fighting for the rights of the Bangsamoro. They have endured immeasurable sacrifices, and the exclusion from BARM leaves a void that will be felt by every one of us. This is not just a legal ruling. This is a moment of profound emotional significance for the people of Sulu and for all of us who have stood shoulder to shoulder in the long march toward autonomy. While we respect the ruling of the Supreme Court, we cannot ignore the very real and arbitrary effects this may bring, especially to employment, public service, and development projects in Sulu. The decision raises concerns about governance and representation. The BOL has designed to empower local governments, ensuring that the voices of those in the region are heard and represented. With Sulu's exclusion, we risk creating a governance structure that does not adequately reflect the diverse for all that we strive for inclusivity and representation, ensuring that every voice is heard in the pursuit of peace and development. Even as we commit to ensuring a smooth transition for Sulu, we must acknowledge that this period remains one of the volatility and unpredictability. We are in a fragile phase, a time when every action we take will shape the future of the Bangsamoro people. This is the very nature of governance in transition: uncertainty, challenges, and at times, setbacks. We must brace ourselves. We must prepare not just for the challenges of today, but for the battles that lie ahead. Nevertheless, we remain steadfast in our respect for democratic principles. The law must be upheld, even when it presents challenges to our unity and collective vision. Yet, we must also be clear that this decision has not severed the ties that bind us to Sulu. The people of Sulu are and will always be a vital part of the Bangsamoro narrative. Thank you so much. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Mr. Speaker, well, apparently it was a privileged speech, and but what was manifested earlier was that it was going to be a commendation, but I move that we just recognize it as a privileged speech. Mr.
Yes,
Speaker.
that's the right of every member of the parliament to speak on a matter of collective and personal privilege.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize MP Don Mustafa Loong for a commendation of a certain individual, Mr. Speaker.
We recognize the gentleman from Sulu.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to take this opportunity to commend a Maranao professional from Llano del Sur, in spite of the fact that I'm a Tausug from Sulu, because I believe we are part of the Bangsamoro, and any success of a Bangsamoro should be commended as we have jointly struggled for self-determination. And so I would like to commend Attorney Aylan Birwar Arumpak of Cotabato City and Lanao del Sur for being the first woman national leader of the Philippine delegation for the Ship for Southeast Asian and Japanese Youth Program. It is under the National Youth Commission, which sends delegates to Southeast Asia and started since 1974. And we have a lot of leaders in the country and even in the Bangsamoro Ship for Southeast Asian Youth Program. And this year, the selected national leader for the Philippine delegation is Attorney Aylan Birwar Arumpak, a Maranao and a native of Cotabato City, also working for the Bangsamoro Transition Authority. She's the first Muslim woman to have been selected as the national leader of the Philippine delegation to the said program. And pursuant to the Bangsamoro Organic Law, which recognizes the role of women in governance and ensuring their fundamental equality before the law, we would like to take this opportunity to commend her and to recognize and congratulate Attorney Aylan Birwar Arumpak for being selected as a national leader of the Philippine delegation for the 48th Ship for Southeast Asian and Japanese Youth Program. And since my colleague in this period of messages, MP Baileng Mantawil had also mentioned about Sulu, I just like to take this opportunity to also express a message of mixed emotions as regards the recent ruling of the Supreme Court, which upheld the validity of the Bangsamoro Organic Law. While we celebrate this moment as a victory for the ideals of autonomy and governance that the BOL represents, this landmark decision also had provided something that made us profoundly sad regarding the exclusion of Sulu from the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. We cannot overlook the pain and disappointment brought about by this decision. The Bangsamoro is not complete without our Tausug brothers and sisters, the people of Sulu, who have for 600 years flourished with self-governance and rich in cultural history, has a very deeply rooted and intertwined history and Bangsamoro identity. It has a profound historical significance in the Bangsamoro struggle for autonomy. Thus, excluding Sulu would omit an important historical narrative that have shaped the identity and aspiration of the Bangsamoro. The struggle for autonomy is rooted in shared experiences and common ends among the Bangsamoro people, and so excluding Sulu would fracture this unity, making it difficult to foster cohesive identity among various ethnic groups. We understand that jura lex sed lex, that the law may be harsh, but it is still the law. But we cannot help but consider the implications of this law, the historical implications of this law. In the book, The Bangsamoro Nation Under Endless Tyranny by Saleh Jubair and Bapa Minister IQ, it had been highlighted there the role of the Tausugs in the struggle. When my father was colleagues with Bapa Hashim Salamat in Cairo, Egypt, they shared the common sentiment that there was no flag that represented the Muslims in the Philippines. And that's why we became Bangsamoro as
one common term. I'm named Don Mustafa from Tun Mustafa of Sabah, and we know the role of Tun Mustafa in helping the quest for self-determination in the Bangsamoro. My father is colleagues with almost everyone in the Bangsamoro hymn, and even in the book of Bapa IQ, he wrote there that there were 3 aspirants for chairmanship of the MNLF. There was Chairman Salamat, there was Nur Miswari, and my father, Dr. Muhammad Sali Loong. Because out of the batch 300, there were 300 of them. There were 30 of them. Almost 10% of the batch 300 are our relatives. And so we have not only hundreds, but thousands of relatives who died for the cause. And it is indeed painful that with this decision, Sulu is excluded in a journey for self-determination. But as we said, Jura lex sed lex, the law may be harsh, it's still the law. We hope that our fellow Bangsamoro in the other islands, in the other areas, will continue to help and assist the people of Sulu, who have flourished already, not only in Sulu, but in many areas. During the all-out war, I was with MILF Youth, and we did sing the song "From the Seas of Sulu to the Lanao Plateau and the Plains, Lanao Maguindanao." So, does that mean that that song is no longer applicable? Bangsamoro has 3 meanings. Bangsamoro as a region, and Sulu is no longer part of that, but Bangsamoro as a people, the Tausugs, surely still part of that. And Bangsamoro as a territory, maybe it's still not part. So, clearly, some people might be happy, some people might be sad. But if I look at those that are most sad, it is the 400 scholars that we have awarded recently, getting 8,000 to 20,000 a month. What will happen to them? It is the 770 Arabic teachers who just celebrated their 16,000 monthly allowances. It is the people of Sulu who are celebrating their becoming one of the most peaceful islands in the country after 30 years of conflict because of the intense development that the Bangsamoro helped contribute to. These are challenges that will be faced, and those who will still be getting their salary on October might not be disturbed. But we have 7,000 people who are worried that their salaries might not come anymore this October, and so we hope that we can help answer that. There are a lot of people in the communities whose housing have started, maybe around 3,000 housing, who's worried that it might become white elephants already. There are those who's worried. You know, I have met dozens of highly qualified doctors who went back to Sulu, transferred their entire family, in spite of graduating from the best universities with subspecialties. They're worried by October they will be displaced. Where will they be absorbed? And so there's just so many things to consider, but what is important is that we hope that our leaders in the Bangsamoro recognize that while the Bangsamoro as a government may not include Sulu, and the Bangsamoro as a territory might not anymore include Sulu, but the Bangsamoro as a people still very much intrinsically includes the people of Sulu and the Tausugs who have been together with the 13 ethno-linguistic tribes to push for the self-determination in the Bangsamoro. So we hope that in the next few days, we will clarify where will we get guidance from to ensure that the 7,000 employees will still get their salary by October? Is it from the Office of the President? Is it from the Office of Chief Minister? Do we need to have a law that will authorize the Chief Minister to release salaries? Second, is somebody going to make a motion for reconsideration? Will the Bangsamoro do it? If not, will the MILF do it? If not, the province of Sulu, if not the MNLF, who will? Do we expect an ordinary resident or employee to actually be able to craft a petition for their issues? There's a lot more, and I believe my other colleagues have spoken, but for me, I am very objective. There is no space for blaming. This is the law, but I believe as leaders, we have to ensure the general welfare of the Bangsamoro. And they say, paano yan? Hindi na part ng Bangsamoro government ang people of Sulu and the Tausug. Kaya hindi na mag-apply yung general welfare clause. We must remember that the Bangsamoro still includes the people of Sulu and the Tausugs as part of the Bangsamoro as a people. With that, magsukol, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Floor leader.
Mr. Speaker, we now go to the reference of business, and first would be bills on first reading. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask the Secretariat to read all the bills enumerated under 8A of the order of business, together with the title of the bill and the respective authors of these bills.
The Secretariat is directed to read all bills on first reading, their title, and all the authors and co-authors.
BTA Parliament Bill number 328 entitled An Act Renaming the Municipality of Datublati, Sinsuat, Maguindanao del Norte to Municipality of West Upi, Maguindanao del Norte. Authors, Members of Parliament, Bahintan ng Batuan, Omar Yasser Sema, Siti Fahani Uyoyod, Baileng Mantawil, Liza Lamia, Paisalin Tago, Michael Mitimbang, Khalid Haji Abdullah, Ramon Piang Sr., Soharto Ismael, Susana Nayatin, Tarhata Maglangit, Eddie Ali, Jose Lorena, Roylin Mendoza, Jamel Makakua, Rasul Ismael, Don Mustafa Loong, and Ali Sangki. BTA Parliament Bill number 329 entitled An Act Authorizing and Promoting Public-Private Partnerships in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, establishing the requirements, standards, and procedures therefore and for other purposes. Authors, Members of Parliament, Muhammad Kelly Antaw, Muhagar Iqbal, Lanang Ali Jr., Suhaib Boranon, Mujib Abu, Tawakal Mitimbang, Suharto Ambuluto, Basir Utu, Aida Silongan, and Baintan ng Batuan. BTA Parliament Bill number 331 entitled An Act Amending Section 5 of Bangsamoro Act number 53, otherwise known as the Act Creating the Municipality of Nuling in the Province of Maguindanao del Norte, providing funds therefore and for other purposes. Author, the Government of the Day. BTA Parliament Bill number 332 entitled An Act Amending Section 5 of Bangsamoro Act number 54, otherwise known as the Act Creating the Municipality of Datu Sinsuat, Balabaran in the Province of Maguindanao del Norte, providing funds therefore and for other purposes. Author, the Government of the Day. BTA Parliament Bill number 333 entitled An Act Amending Section 5 of Bangsamoro Act number 55, otherwise known as the An Act Creating the Municipality of Sheikh Abbas Hamza in the province of Maguindanao del Norte, providing funds therefore and for other purposes. Author, the government of the day.
Mr. Speaker, for the resolutions or proposed resolutions, we have one. And may we request the Secretariat to read the title and the authors of proposed resolution 629.
The Secretariat is directed to read the title of proposed resolution number 629, including the name of the authors and co-authors.
Proposed resolution number 629 entitled, "The resolution urging the Ministry of Basic, Higher and Technical Education to require the mandatory posting of notices for government-funded education scholarships and designated conspicuous areas of all academic institutions within the region." Author, Member of Parliament Jamel Makakua. Co-authors, Members of Parliament Mujib Abu, Ibrahim Ali, Eddie Ali, Abdulaziz Aminuddin, Muhammad Kelly Antao, Shah Ilaiha Dumama Albam, Hatian, Don Mustafa Loong, Michael Mitimbang, Nabila Margarita Pangandaman, Romeo Sema, Ali Sulaiman, and Nabil Tan.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer this to the Committee on Basic, Higher and Technical Education.
There is a motion coming from the floor to refer PR number 629 to the Committee on Basic, Higher and Technical Education. Any second? It's been seconded. Hearing no objection, the motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, we're now on bills on second reading. We only have one. This is BTA Parliament Bill number 110.
The Secretariat,
Okay.
yeah, the
May we request the Secretary to read the title as well as the author?
Secretariat is directed to read the title of BTA Parliament Bill number 110, including the name of the authors and co-authors.
BTA Parliament Bill number 110 entitled, "An Act Creating the Bangsamoro Commission on Population Management and Development, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes." Author, the government of the day.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize MP Dr. Jojo Sinolinding to give the authorship speech.
The Minister of Health, the gentleman from the Special Geographic Area is recognized.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. To the Honorable Chief Minister, Speaker, Deputy Speakers, Floor Leader, Deputy Floor Leaders, my esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. It is with great honor that I stand before you today to deliver the sponsorship speech for the Parliament Bill number 110 on behalf of the government of the day. This bill, which seeks to establish the Commission on Population Management and Development of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, is not merely a step toward effective population management, rather it is an acknowledgement of the vital role that human development plays in ensuring a prosperous and progressive Bangsamoro region. For the human development, which is the core of population management, our region's fast-growing population, along with its high fertility rate, is both advantageous and challenging. It calls for appropriate and effective policies and proactive strategies that enable the region to fully harness and optimize perhaps its most vital resource, its people. We must ensure that we not only address the current needs of our population, but also prepare for the challenges it presents in the future. At the heart of this bill is the acknowledgement that population management is not about limiting numbers, but about empowering individuals to achieve their full potential. As the Bangsamoro region experiences evolving demographics and ongoing development, managing population growth is crucial to ensure that every individual has access to resources and opportunities necessary for a healthy, productive, and fulfilling life. This is why human development must remain at the core of our approach to population management. The creation of the Bangsamoro Commission on Population Management and Development mirrors the functions of the Commission on Population, ensuring that Bangsamoro Autonomous Region has a counterpart body capable of addressing the unique challenges of our region that it faces. These challenges include reproductive health, teen age or unplanned pregnancies, and high fertility rates, all of which directly impact the region's socioeconomic performance. This commission will not only lead the formulation of effective policies to manage the region's population trend, but will also focus on enhancing the quality of life for every Bangsamoro, recognizing that the true wealth of our region lies in the development of our people. What is the role of the Commission in gender and development? One of the key disruptors of a healthy and favorable population trend has always been gender inequality. Around the world, in regions where women are denied basic rights and freedoms, such as the right to education, to freedom to work, bodily autonomy, and the right to marry by choice, the population growth rates are distinctively higher and unmanageable compared to areas where women enjoy these rights. Thus, the creation of the Commission is crucial in advancing gender equality and development. Population management must consider the unique challenges faced by women, such as access to healthcare, education, and economic opportunities. Women's empowerment is a key driver to sustainable development, and this commission will play an essential role in integrating gender sensitivity into the policies we will pursue. By embedding gender considerations into its operations, the Commission will ensure that women are not left behind in the conversation about population management and human development. It will be a platform where gender and development become pivotal strategies to reducing poverty, promoting reproductive health, and encouraging the economic and political participation of women across the region. We have seen communities thrive with women and girls are empowered through education, training, and increased access to opportunities. The Commission will develop targeted initiatives that support population management measures while ensuring gender inclusivity. This will ensure that socioeconomic development benefits all members of society, regardless of gender. About youth empowerment and future proofing of the Bangsamoro, let us be reminded that our youth make up a significant portion of our population, estimated to be at least 1.3 million or around 30% of our total population. Addressing the reproductive health needs and preventing early, unwanted, and unprepared pregnancies is not just a moral obligation. It is an investment in BARM's future. By empowering our youth, we are preparing them to be productive contributors to our region's continued progress. The Commission will take a proactive role in addressing issues related to fertility, family planning, migration, and social integration with a strategic focus on sustainable development goals. The demographic structure of the Bangsamoro region is unique, and we must seize this opportunity to prepare our young and growing population to become the backbone of our economy. For the strategic development and socio-economic growth, this bill integrates population concerns into the development agenda of the region. A well-managed population leads to a lowering of poverty incidence, healthier communities, improved maternal and child health outcomes, and better access to reproductive health services, and a stronger economy, inshallah. Through this commission, we are providing our constituents with the opportunity to achieve both social and economic development goals while upholding the diverse cultural and religious beliefs of the peoples in the Bangsamoro region. In conclusion, the need for this bill is critical and clear. With the population now estimated to be at 4.9 million, BARM is on the path that demands a more structured and well-coordinated population management strategy. As we deliberate on the establishment of this commission, let us remember that its significance extends beyond managing numbers. The Commission on Population Management and Development will be a catalyst for a long-term human development, social inclusion, gender equality in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region. Together, we can create a brighter, more equitable future for all. Mr. Speaker, esteemed colleagues, I urge you and I seek your support for the passage of this bill. It is not only for the present, but for the future of every individual in the Bangsamoro region. Let us align population management with sustainable development while preserving the cultural and religious values of our people. I look forward to your full support for the passage of this important legislation. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuhu. Maraming salamat mo. A pleasant afternoon to everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer this bill jointly to the Committee on Finance, Budget and Management, as well as to the Committee on Rules.
The floor is moving that the proposed bill be referred to the Committee on Finance, Budget and Management and to the Committee on Rules. Any second? Hearing no objection, the motion is approved. Floor leader, what is the next in the order of business?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The next in the order of business is unfinished business pertaining to Committee Report number 77 submitted by the Committee on Social Services and Development and the Committee on Finance and Budget and Management. The parliamentary status of this committee report is we are in the period of amendments, Mr. Speaker. May I move that we recognize the committee, the lead person for this BTA Parliament Bill number 32, MP Raisa Jajuri.
The lady from Sulu is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the earlier sessions where we had the period of interpellation, Mr. Speaker, MP Bayintan Ampatuan asked this representation to make to clarify the organizational structure of the Bangsamoro internal displacement monitoring office, as well management and monitoring office, and the difference or the special or the specific mandate of this of the Bangsamoro Internal Displacement Coordinating Committee or BIDCC vis-a-vis the mandates of the Bangsamoro Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council. So, Mr. Speaker, for this purpose, I will be making a presentation before we proceed to proposed amendments, if I will be allowed, Mr. Speaker.
You can proceed.
So, Mr. Speaker, we're talking about BTA Bill number 32, and I have a few slides clarifying the composition, mandates, and structure of the mechanisms we are proposing to set up under the said bill. Next slide. So, as to composition, Mr. Speaker, we see in our slide the members of the BDRRMC as enumerated in Executive Order number 12, series of 2019, and also provided in a DRRMC resolution, adding a few more members. That's on the left side of the screen, Mr. Speaker. On the right side, there's an enumeration of the proposed members of the BIDCC as provided in the bill. We have highlighted those that are common members of both BDRRMC and the BIDCC, Mr. Speaker. We go to the next slide, and this time we're juxtaposing the mandates of the BIDCC in relation to BDRRMC. So as provided again in Executive Order number 12 issued by the Chief Minister in 2019. So as we can see on the left side, these are the mandates of BDRRMC. Number 1 is really for response. So the mandate is to respond and provide relief goods within 72 hours. And then it will also serve as a convergence area for stakeholders for coordinated response. It shall also serve as the information bank facility for all reports regarding disaster issues and disseminate information on hazards, vulnerabilities, and risks. It will also serve as a radio communications network center and ensure that communications equipment are available and functional. It also has the mandate to coordinate with all government agencies in relation to its different mandates and establish a regional DRRM hotline. So as you can see, Mr. Speaker, in summary, this is really about putting together all the protocols and implementing the response of the Bangsamoro government across the different ministries, offices, and agencies. Whereas for the BIDCC or the Bangsamoro Internal Displacement Coordinating Council, the mandate is really towards ensuring that there are durable solutions that are implemented to address the concerns of internal displacement. So for this purpose, the BIDCC is expected to adopt a Bangsamoro internal displacement program where all the different interventions towards arriving at durable solutions will be presented, enumerated, and again, this program will be adopted. The BIDCC will also adopt other policies for IDPs, maybe outside of the BIDP. It will also review the local internal displacement programs of LGUs, Mr. Speaker. So we expect that aside from a regional internal displacement program, there will also be local internal displacement programs from the local government units, starting from the municipalities, cities, and provinces. The BIDCC shall also coordinate and resolve issues on internal displacement and IDPs. It is also tasked to raise awareness regarding internal displacement and the ways by which we are addressing it. It will also be a platform for multi-stakeholder cooperation and coordination in the planning for the provision of assistance to IDPs. And as I mentioned, overall, this is really about durable solutions. The BIDCC is also mandated to submit an annual report or annual reports to the Chief Minister on IDP data and also analysis of the data. And it may perform such other powers and functions as may be enumerated by this law or other laws that may be enacted, Mr. Speaker. Next slide. For the structure of the Bangsamoro Internal Displacement Management and Monitoring Office, we'd like to clarify that the BIDMO is really a division of the ministry. So it's an organic unit integral to the MSSD. It will not be an attached agency, but will be part of the Programs and Operations Service. Can we click the next slide, please? Next. So it will be part of the Programs and Operations Service. Okay. And that is how it will look like. So we have 3 services, Mr. Speaker, and as I mentioned, BIDMO will be a division under the Programs and Operations Service. This is very important, Mr. Speaker, because as pointed out, there are certain tasks where the Disaster Response and Management Division is in charge of, including the production of DROMIC reports. But this time, since there will be a BIDMO if this law is passed, the same shall now be within the responsibility of the newly created, if created, division, which is the BIDMO, Mr. Speaker. Next slide. And under the BIDMO, next slide, please. This is the last slide. We propose to have 3 sections. The first would be Planning and Development section. Second is the Policy and Coordination section. And the last is the Information Management section. Under Planning and Development section, we expect this section to do the facilitation of drafting the Bangsamoro Internal Displacement Program, which under the law or under the bill shall be adopted or approved by the BIDCC. But aside from that, Mr. Speaker, we propose that this section be also be given the task of reviewing local internal displacement programs coming from the local government units, and also to provide technical assistance to them in the drafting and adoption and even the implementation of the LIDPs. This will be headed by a Social Welfare Officer 4, and under this section, there will also be a Social Welfare Officer 3, Program Development Officer 2, and an Administrative Assistant 3 at the minimum. For the Policy and Coordination section, the work will be focused on the Secretariat work for the BIDCC, and therefore a bulk of its task would be on policy drafting for approval by the Council. It will also have to work on coordination of assistance, considering that the BIDCC is also an interagency body where assistance can be discussed, and the employees under this section can work on coordination. Also, advocacy on the rights of IDPs and compliance monitoring by the different ministries, offices, and agencies of their responsibilities in the adopted BIDP. And then this will also be headed, same staff complement, Mr. Speaker, as SWO 4 to head the section, SWO 3, PDO 2, and Administrative Assistant 3 as support staff. Under Information Management section, this would really be focused on data management, because one of the tasks of the BIDMO would be to collect data on IDPs beyond the immediate response that is usually done by the BDRRMC. This one, considering that we're looking at durable solutions, this will go beyond the initial 72 hours and maybe even beyond a month or a year. It will develop tools for the collation of data and also monitoring of the response of the different agencies. So it will have data collection and storage function, and they can also convert that into knowledge management products for the consumption, not only of the ministry, but also of the other agencies and other stakeholders and constituents of the BARM. So this one will be headed by PDO 4 and ITO 3 and an Administrative Assistant 3. That is all, Mr. Speaker. Those would be our salient features of the BIDCC and the BIDMMO as requested by the Honorable MP Ampatuan.
Yes, I can see the hands of the lady from Maguindanao. I will acknowledge her on this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Deputy Floor Leader, Minister Raisa Jujuri, for acceding to my request with regards to the clarification of the structure of the BIDMO, Mr. Speaker. Can we show to the screen the second to the last structure? Yeah, the BIDMO. One good thing that happened is that kung hindi ito ipinakita, hindi yan yung itsura niya. When you literally read the bill, kasi the bill says that it's an office. When you say an office is composed of several divisions with several services. And in this case, it's clear to me that it's just one division. Ang request ko lang sana para maging consistent tayo in the use of the terminology, instead of using the word office, we will just state it as a division within what office is that, under the programs and operations service of the MSSD. Para klaro, consistent yung terminologies that we use, because the other three boxes there are divisions. Mr. Speaker, one last clarification to the proponent, Mr. Speaker. If the BIDMO or the proposed division, additional division, has an implementing power, because if you try to look at the powers and functions as shown in the last slide, I don't see the implementation of the programs, which unit or section are going to implement the program that was created under the BIDMO.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, we just like to also note that under Section 14 of the bill, when it mentioned the creation of the BIDMO, it said that it is under the MSSD. So the idea really is for it to become an integral unit of the MSSD. But we are amenable to hear proposed amendments as to the name of the BIDMO
Yes.
to reflect its nature as a division of the ministry. In our structure, if we go back there, the implementation insofar as the Ministry of Social Services is concerned would be under Protective Response and Management Division. So
Protective service.
under Programs and Operations Service, it's the second blue box. And it says Disaster Response and Management Division. This is where we lodge all disaster response operations of the ministry. Of course, for other ministries, they may have a different structure. The implementation will also be in accordance with the structures.
Thank you very much for clarifying that. I think that's material. We need to clarify in the bill because there is a mention of the program that is supposed to be carried out, but the way I understand it, it's the BIDMO. But right now, based on this structure, it's the Disaster Response and Management Division, and it has to be reflected clearly in the bill. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Well, anyway, we are now in the period of amendment. Anything that concerns the floor on any provision of this proposed bill, they can still make proposed amendments. The period of interpolation is already been terminated.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Speaker. The reason why we are showing this is that para sabay-sabay yung pagkaintindi natin sa perspective ng proponent. Kasi kung basahin ko lang yung bill sa ngayon, hindi ganyan yung interpretation. So ngayon, klaro na. So yan yung isusulat natin, Mr. Speaker. Maraming salamat.
We will no longer entertain any.
Mr. Speaker, can I be entertained for 1 minute?
What is your concern, Deputy
My concern,
Speaker?
Mr. Speaker, is that wala ang basilan sa scheme na yun. Now, I just like to find out kung bakit wala ang basilan.
Yes, the proponent.
To clarify this matter, Mr. Speaker, we have provincial offices in areas where social welfare has not been devolved. Meaning, we have provincial offices where we directly operate, and because Basilan joined the ARMM at a time when the local government code, the National Local Government Code was already in effect, social welfare has already been devolved to them. But certainly we have operations in Basilan, but only through a coordinating office. We still have to go through the provincial government, their provincial social welfare officer, and also the municipal social welfare officers. So the structure is just really to reflect the provincial offices, Mr. Speaker.
So Basilan is not included because social services and development have already been devolved to the province of Basilan. We only have coordinating offices.
Yes, with very skeletal force.
We take note of that.
Kung coordinating office, kailangan ata we have to place it in the schematic na ano ganon. Ang sa Basilan is coordinating office.
Well
Thank you.
noted, Mr. Speaker. This is a new development which has not been reflected to the structure, and that is our way of addressing the lack of coordination, because previously it's just the regional office talking to the provincial social welfare officer. So in more recent past, we created a skeletal force of 3 or 4 people just to do the coordination. We will reflect that, Mr. Speaker.
Duly noted. They will make a necessary reflection on the schematic.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, that instead of PSW, coordinating office for Basilan Church.
Duly noted.
Mr. Speaker, yes.
Floor Leader, what is next in the order of business?
Mr. Speaker, I just like to clarify that perhaps by tomorrow, we can already discuss each and every proposed amendment. We will ask all the MPs who have raised issues during the period of interpellation to submit their written proposed amendments so that we can respond to each proposal by
Well,
tomorrow.
from the floor, they stated that we are in the period of amendment. Therefore, any and all members of the parliament who have proposed amendments, those proposals should be submitted today until tomorrow, so that your proposed amendments will be taken into consideration during the deliberation on the proposed amendments. In the meantime, what is the pleasure of the floor?
Considering that there are no more items in the order of business, we move that we adjourn, Mr. Speaker.
Adjourn or suspend? What is the pleasure?
Adjourn, Mr. Speaker, because there are no other.
From the floor, 1 minute suspension.
We move to.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
just 1 minute.
Yes.
Well, this is a manifestation.
Session resume. Okay, sinuspend ko man. Now, session is suspended until tomorrow at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.